All right, good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Man, it's bright and it's a good day, man. Good Sunday today. Today is January 29th,
What up?
2023. What up, Corey? 2023. And this is Make It Make Sense. We're back. And today, as you can see, there's Hot Tub Tony in the building, Coy in the building, and Mr. Ford. And we may even have some additional guests, but we'll see how. And but we're here. We're gonna have a good spirited show today. Today's topic, obviously, if you look at the billboard for the show, it's about Ed Reed and Bethune-Cookman and just all the things in between there. And we're just gonna watch a couple of videos today and just kind of talk about it because a lot of people have an opinion on this. Who's right, who's wrong, who's to blame, all that stuff. And but what we want to do today is also display what they actually said, and so we can kind of go from there. So, gentlemen, are y'all ready?
Ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and go to the first video, and this is Ed Reed, and he's out there cleaning up, taking a look at campus, and just listen to what he has to say, and then the panel's gonna talk about it.
Working on the front of the building. This is the same people. How I'm gonna believe you, man? How I'm gonna believe them? Didn't I tell you I don't trust nobody? I'm coming over giving them the same passion and they smiling and laughing. Ain't funny? We gonna ride through the fence that these same fence. We about to ride through this fence. This ain't even football side. This ain't even a football. And y'all talking about at my uncle prime. Y'all mad at Dion. At prime. This shit is every we ride. This is what they practice on. It's a straightaway. This is in a mirror field. You can't practice on this. These kids got this to work with. Trash. Yeah, I'm showing it. At this point, I gotta show this. I'm not even the head coach. Man, it ain't happening. Because of that lady right there. Miss Mary, you see her with the cane? That's what you call me. I am. Y'all see these buildings right here? Y'all see these buildings right here? This right here is a trash. All this right here is trash. from this all right here. You understand me? Man, mutt your ass off here, man. What you talking about? I ain't mutt nobody. I'm trying to fix what you doing. I told you somebody ain't gonna like it, we're gonna like it. Just clean up. I could have been mutton and showing. I chose not to. My picking up us. Man, get out of here, man. I should leave. I'm not even under us. Man, get out of here, man. I'm y'all. Get your ass, man. It's trash. What are you talking about? Need no god donors to come out and help out, cause people just want money. That's why I don't fuck with social network.
All right, gentlemen, you all
Hmm.
we are able to hear the whole thing.
It
I've
was a little
seen the
choppy,
video.
but I got the gist of it.
I've seen it more than I care to look at it.
OG $2, what's up?
Mm. Oh,
My take on it is
All right,
where
say it
did he
again.
get something wrong at?
my take on it is just close out all the black schools and send your kids to the white schools so y'all all be happy. I am so done with. Okay, first of all, even with Ed Reed, hell, we all know there's problems in there. But even people don't realize that part of the reason they gave him that job and part of the conversation was with him, they said literally, we have no facilities. But we're hoping with your leverage and your help, we can create some facilities. But that part of the conversation was never brought up. So he comes in knowing that the situation there, I get it, you're frustrated. You didn't realize it was that bad, but it's not like you didn't know they didn't have facilities. So now, but I guarantee you this, even though I love Ed Reed to death, ah, he's not going to get one of them other jobs. So you have to figure something out if you want to coach. I'm done.
Yes, they may have told him that they didn't have facility, but I think they grossly undersold the situation at the school. And I saw one of the comments that's been reoccurring is they went through 2 hurricanes. Okay, but I'm pretty sure those schools are insured. And part of the insurance payouts when they do pay out for natural disasters is cleanup. The level of cleanup that's required at Bethune-Cookman didn't come from a
I
hurricane.
told you, Tony, let's just close them all and let them educate all y'all kids. Because
That's
that's
not
basically
what I.
what that's
That is
basically what
not.
the arg that's basically what we're saying now. We're at the point now to the point where we're just gonna stomp these black colleges and stomp them to death and they're fucked up, they're this, they're that. We all know that. Now, we have not one thing I have not heard is a comprehensive solution to fix them. All I heard is how trashy they are. I'm at this point on this whole subject, which kind of Mr. Fullerway, I was kind of like, let's move to somewhere else. At this whole subject that all we're doing, there's a difference between
You're breaking up, Corey.
On, adding on, you're fucked up, you're losers, you're useless, blah 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 blah. It's get to a point where this is not even productive anymore. I've watched for over 2 weeks now this same topic about Bethune-Cookman. Okay, let's shut the school down. That's what I'm at. If they're that bad, shut them down and go somewhere else.
Well, Corey, I'm gonna say this: if there's an unwillingness from the schools themselves to fix the situation, they don't want to do.
No. Let's not know and we'll just shut them
Hold
all
on.
down and send them to their schools. Let's do
People
that.
don't.
Then the
People
problem
don't want.
goes away.
People do not want the truth to be told. The truth is, yes, the HBCU system is broken, and the only way to fix it is to at least acknowledge what's broken and try to fix it. Bethune-Cookman's problems go back to the 90s. They've been in financial trouble
Tony,
since.
I said break it. I said
Hold on.
let's throw them away. What is the problem?
Bethune-Cookman's problems go back to 1994. They've been in financial struggle since 1994 with a series of bad loans, bad bonds, bad administration, bad board of trustees. You want to solve that problem? Well, let's start with what's reoccurring about it. The leadership.
How about I gave you a solution.
I'm not saying
Wait a minute,
dismantle.
since the nineties, you say this school has been has not functioned, had not been prosperous, has been useless. Shut it down.
No, I say get that leadership out of there. Because if
They've changed presidents. They've changed presidents. They keep
they
changing
have
presidents.
not changed, they have not changed the board of trustees.
Hey, I will say, you know what happens to the board of trustees if you shut the place down? They all leave.
They do hold a place in black society. I'll never say that HBCUs don't hold a significant and
Well,
place in our society.
the way I'm hearing it now is that all these doctors, all these lawyers, and all these other people that come from these colleges, all these teachers, all these veterinaries, and all the rest of them that come from this society. I've told y'all before, when it comes to this sports thing, you got to understand, it's our mission. This is not the mission of those schools. Now, I agree with you that obviously, I also know one thing. You know when more malfeasance come? When people are underfunded. It's just like this. It's the same reason why when there's crime in poor neighborhoods and depressed neighborhoods, it's the same. For some reason, it's always that way. Can we agree that that's the way it is through society when someone's underfunded, right?
The
It
problem
usually
with
tends to.
the
No, I'm
problem
just
with
listening. I'm
this,
just saying.
they,
Dude, I'm just
they
saying.
are not underfunded. They are not underfunded.
How do you feel,
The
Tony?
funds,
You've been the
man,
funds you think you need. I had we and you had a little short conversation just the other day to prove to you that that money that am I right? And I broke it down to you. It's not as much money as you think it is when you start talking about running that school. Now, I'm a big proponent of this. I agree that we both had to agree that there's something like 1 point some odd billion dollars between all these schools, and we go by just enrollment, staff, paying salaries, blah blah blah. That's unaccounted for over the 101 HBCUs. I acquiesce to you. Yes, there's something going on with that money. What's going on with that money now? But to say that they are funded fully, that's some bullshit. They're not.
okay. When the school itself, and I'm speaking solely on Bethune-Cookman, takes out an $80 million loan to improve facilities, and that $80 million loan leaves you $100 million in debt, so much so that you have to go to the federal government to get $100 million grant to cover the $80 million loan that's supposed to improve the facility. Yet not one piece of construction went on at Bethune-Cookman that was allocated under the $80 million. Then they took the remaining balance that the federal government gave them to pay off the bonding issues that they had from 1994. So that means this school has been managed for decades financially. Whoever is in charge of the money, and the only reoccurring theme in this is the board of trustees who controls the money. If they had an unwillingness to not only improve their facilities, but also taking out bad loans to the point to where your accreditation as a school was in jeopardy had you not paid off this loan. Had the federal government not come
Oh,
in and say,
well, let's pause. Let's pause on this one. I do have a question. I'm gonna let you continue. I'm gonna let you finish getting it off. May I ask you a question?
yes, sir.
Whether or not a school can pay its bills does not say whether or not these kids are educated to quote unquote be accredited in their field, right? I just always thought it was weird that accreditation goes off of the finances of the school versus the education of the children. Continue.
What does that have to
And yes, I'm on my shit today.
what does that have to do with anything? I'm hitting you with I'm just giving you the facts of Bethune-Cookman.
I
And I
said shut the place down because obviously it's useless.
whoa, whoa, whoa. If you see no value in your sports program, then do away with your sports program. But we all know most colleges are profitable because of their athletic program.
Not true.
Yes, it is true, very much so.
Mr. 411, put that as topic of next week because me and Tony gonna go depth in that one. That one I do know. We'll do
Most
that next week.
schools make money off of their athletic programs, right or wrong.
Not totally true. It's a little bit more than you think it is. I'll
See,
break it down. We're gonna break it down into next
but
week's topic.
go
I
ahead.
will give you line by line. No, I'll give you. I'm gonna give you. I don't like throwing stuff at you without sending the information for you to give to gather your own opinion. But we'll break that topic down.
My point being, if you see no value in your sports program, then why bring your caliber head coaches like your Ed Reeds, your Dion's to your school to begin with? If you have no intentions on improving the situation and you just want the publicity that their name brings, then say that. Because that's what I'm seeing over and over again. But the minute these brothers point out the issues at these institutions, everybody cries foul. Nobody wants to admit that there are problems in our HBCU system, and they need to be acknowledged. They need to be brought to the forefront. When I see the students get to the streets and protest and say, bring Ed Reed back, he's not lying. Our facilities are messed up. Our dorms are subpar. And understand.
And here lies the thing. Here's lies the thing. Oh, wait, whoa. Hold on. Here lies the thing.
Problems that go straight to that administration.
I don't disagree. This problem goes straight to that administration. But however, these students had this issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a known fact that they've had issue about it. They've had the issues of supposedly there's these buildings that they torn down that they were supposed to replace. Those buildings are still not replaced, and the students have brought this attention. Now they protest. Believe it or not, the students thing is not so much about they bring Ed Reed back. They're like, look, we're gonna bring it. We want Ed Reed around because now we have a bully pulpit to speak our truth, which I have no problem with. I have no problem with. If the schools have problems, if they're underfunded, if there's a lot of things, like even when people say this, the quote of if we donate back to HBCUs, well, the truth be told, if they get funded as quote unquote as we like to think they've been funded, those it would not count to the amount of money donations bring in there. All right, number two. Now, the other thing is these administrations, yes, there are problems. I don't know. I've thought about this over and over. There's really, and the only thing I agree with you. I think there's some heads need to be rolled. They need to be ran differently. But understand this: when it comes to the sports arena for these schools, sports is not number one to many of these schools. And then when we say throw the baby out with the bathwater, I get all the problems, but I still understand one thing: a good percentage of all the people in our community that have degrees that are educated come from these institutions. Good, bad, indifferent. That's where they come from. So once we get to the point of burn them all down, that portion of what we're already fighting uphill. Now we're losing that also. So we're gonna have to figure out a better way than just saying dispose the scab. I have no problem. I am upfront with if you're fucking up, show the world that you're being wrong. If you're gonna wrong me, I'm gonna show you where I'm at. My issue with the whole Ed Reed thing is all we were regurgitating is that conversation that I watched today for the 15th time on a different bliss, and see Ed Reed's not wrong. And all it has turned into a narrative of this is what all of HBCUs are. That's not true. They're not all, it's not all, that's not all of what they are.
Well, show me the exception to the The exceptional schools that disproves what's being said, the narrative that's being said. Show it to
I said, what's the exception? Mahari produced doctors every day. What exception? What else you want from?
the school. I give
Huh?
you, I give you the whole HBCU.
Morehouse produced doctors,
I
engineers. Howard produced
I
engineers. I
hear
mean,
it.
no, I'm talking about this. I'm giving you the product, regardless of how fucked up these schools are, what they're producing. Even schools like Albany State, Alabama State, and a few, and I'm skipping a whole bunch of them, produce a lot of the teachers that we have that are educating our kids. That some are good, some are bad. It's just the game it is. Shall I continue? I mean,
But
yes,
that does not
yes, there's
not
issues,
disprove
but
the
what I'm
rule.
saying is, I
That
ain't
does
saying
not
nothing about
disprove the
disprove.
rule.
What did I, Tony? Don't twist what I said. I said those are problems, but but nobody seems to give a solution or even say, well, even with all this shit going on, my question, y'all, is how the hell do they produce these doctors, these lawyers, these teachers, and all these educated black folks as fucked up as they are?
That's more of a credit
How?
to the that's more of a credit to the professors than it is to the institution itself.
But you talking about burning these things down?
I say burn it down if you're not willing to fix it. I acknowledge I gave you solutions last week to try to fix the problem. Hell, I gave it to you today. It
Good
starts with
morning, $2.
it starts with your administrations. If your administrations ain't willing to change it, you're going to be hard pressed to change it. Even if all the professors, the students, the staff, the alumni want to change it. Those who control the school, those who control the budget of the school, if they don't want to change, it won't change. I say start it out with a public accounting. Let's do some forensic accounting and see where the money is being misappropriated. That's first and foremost. Open up the books.
All
Get
right. Now, my next question is:
hold on. Get some outside auditors to come in and actually audit the book. Go back 30 years. Let's find out who, what, when, where, and how this money is being misappropriated. Once you establish that, you can put controls in place to stop it. You may not be able to prosecute what has been going on unless it's still going on. But going forward, it gives you a clean slate to start from. You set up your priorities. What are our priorities at the school? What is the first thing we want to do day one once we find out and solve this problem of the financial issues? If facilities are an issue, and facilities has been a reoccurring issue at most HBCUs, well, let's go in here. Let's start upgrading our facilities. At least we see the progress. And if you start with the progress, I can give you credit for that. But when I see you do what Bethune-Cookman do and take out an $80 million loan 3 years ago, and here we are 3 years later, not one bit of that construction, which you took out this exorbitant loan for, has been started. It don't take 3 years to upgrade facilities, to start upgrading facilities. The people who you took the loan out with and the people who you paid to do the work already been paid. So why hasn't work been started? It should be no reason for this. It should be, they should have been able to come back and say, yes, he's right. We do have some facilities that are subpar, but look, we've already started construction on it. Never at one time in that narrative have I seen them say that. So where did the money go?
All right. Okay, gentlemen, that's good banter. Back and forth. Good conversation. We're not done. I just want to throw something in there. So going back to the video that we played with Ed Reed, and you guys can confirm it for me. Had a little difficulty on my end. Did it play? Were you able to hear most of it and get the gist from it? Before I ask my question.
Um, it kind of got choppy, but for the most part, I heard it. I've seen the video multiple times. So
Okay. And so how is it fair to say with his approach in the video part of it, is that enough of a reason for Bethune-Cookman to not hire him? Could he have handled that a better way?
I'm gonna let Coy go ahead. I know where he's gonna go with it. Go ahead, Coy.
All right, here you go. I'm gonna tell you, even if I side on, because the Ed Reed's my dude.
Yeah,
Everybody says
I think
Dion
we
is the
all like
greatest.
him.
No, I mean when I say people say greatest DBs of all time, I actually would pick him over Prime. That's how much I respect Ed Reed as a football player. Now, And I have no problem with his passion. I have no problem with how he feel. But I do feel on some levels his frustration got in the way of him being disingenuous. Meaning, yes, he got into it and was like, God damn, it's worse than I thought it was. Yeah, they said we got to build some facilities. Yes, we got to build. We don't have this. We don't have this. But I didn't realize it was this bad, and it weighed on him. Now, that being said, I would tell anybody. I've told Tony. Me and Tony's had this conversation. You
Mm-hmm.
come to my house and call my house a trash bag, I'm gonna throw you hell up out of here.
If I
You
come,
come,
go ahead.
you may be right or wrong, and I may have to fix my problems, but I'm gonna make sure you ain't there while I fix them. I'm gonna go with somebody else because whether we like it or not, human nature is human nature. You're gonna when a person feels attacked, they attack back. That's just the nature of how this world go. Right or wrong, Tom?
You're right. I can
Okay.
concede that point.
So then let's go. Let's move on forward. The thing that we don't look at with Ed is no, we love the passion, we love this. However, when you're saying you're going to be a head football coach, right? It's
That's
going to his resume, and when he goes to go to the next school, because you got to remember, when you get hired as a coach, you got a boss, right? It's going to take a special type of, because it's going to take a special situation for someone to say, I'm finna hire him because if he ain't, because he ain't with following the business of how we got things going on, and he doesn't follow the chain of command.
still there, Corey?
I'm still here,
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay.
and they're gonna consider him a loose cannon. I honestly think, as far as uh young athletes and as far as playing the sport, he's probably one of the most mental players I've ever seen in my lifetime of watching football. I think what he all has to offer to these young men is great. I think his passion is great, but yeah, I honestly think he's kind of closed a lot of doors because it's not a matter of whether we fuck with him or what we like about him. It's a matter of the people that's going to hire him. And bosses are bosses, and bosses don't like being showed up. So,
Okay.
I don't
And
know.
to
I don't know if Bethune took him back. First of all, the only way Bethune-Cookman can take him back and it possibly could work is that the AD has to be gone and the administration has to be gone because just because of the nature of the relationship that coming in the door, it's always going to be a problem, and it's never going to be a situation where they can learn to work together because in the back of their mind, they're always going to be like, every chance, any chance they get, they're gonna take a shot back at 'em.
all right. So let's let this roll real quick, and then Hot Tub, you'll get to respond. Let me play these two quick videos for those who didn't get to hear it. There were some people that were saying it was choppy on their end, so I was able to pull something else right quick.
But I'm mud nuts, man. Picking up trash. But I'm mud nuts. Man, get out of here, man. I should leave. I'm not even under contract doing this. I'm mud nuts. Man, get out of here, man. They ain't mud me. These motherfuckers ain't even clean my goddamn office when I got here. I'm mudding y'all. Get your ass, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. All this shit here was trash in front of me. Who you think got this shit cleared out? That building right there got trash in it. It's fucking trash. What are you talking about? Need no goddamn donors to come out and help out because people just want money. That's why I don't fuck with social network. Fuck out of here, man.
All right.
Prime was not wrong about what he was saying.
So my question would
All
be,
y'all out there with y'all opinions full of crap, don't know shit. I help y'all too, man, because I know a lot of HBCs need help. I'm just here to help here first. Who's running it? Broken mentalities out here. I'm gonna leave y'all with that, man. I gotta get in the office. I hope y'all be blessed out there. 336, I see you, my bro. About to pull up in the office, bro. I gotta get out here. My guys already out here working. I've been here for a week and a half. I've been here for a week and a half and have done more than people that have been here in freaking years.
Okay, Hot Tub, it's on you.
Are, are we highlighting Ed Reed or are we highlighting the organization, Corey? Then I asked that reason because you said, well, Ed Reed can't find another job. They're going to be unwilling to work with him. That's fine. Ed Reed has money. Ed Reed is good.
Hold on.
If
Well,
it was
Tony. You know
hold
I
on.
don't. You know how I feel about counting people's money.
I'm not counting
However,
this. I'm not counting this money. I'm
now what I
saying
was gonna
that
say, what I was gonna
this
say
man,
was,
this whether or not this man is good is neither here nor there.
hmm
I'm dealing more so with the issue of the HBCUs themselves.
Mhm.
The man pointed
now,
out several things in every interview that you've seen him do, in every clip that's been posted up. He said what the problem was, and he's highlighted one big thing: they stealing. That's what I'm more so dealing with. I'm dealing with how can we improve the situation at our HBCUs. That's more so on the line. Him bringing light to it was necessary because had people like himself and Dion not said anything, not used their star power to bring this to the light, this would have continued to go on for the next 20 or 30 years like it has been. Now this conversation is out here. Now this conversation is how can we fix our HBCU system? It's bigger than them two individuals. I thank them for shedding light on it. It needed to be shed. Now let's go forward and fix it. When I come on your broadcast, I'm bringing the facts. I'm doing the research. I'm going into saying, okay, when did this start? With Bethune-Cookman, it can be pinpoint down to the year. And we talking about this going back since the 90s. But everybody said, oh, he shouldn't have said this, he shouldn't have done that. Irregardless of whether he did it or not, it needed to be done. All of this needed to come out. So now that it's out there, there's more of a willingness from us as black people to fix it. And if you want to fix, let's go ahead and fix it. And I said this before, and I say it again. It starts with doing a public forensic accounting on them to let the public see what have you been doing with this money. Let us see what's been going wrong. You've been running to the federal government for hat in hand for years. Bethune-Cookman has been an institution for 100 years. I refuse to believe that since 1994 it's been going down like this. It was able to run and be a functional institution for decades before that without federal government money. That's a fairly recent phenomenon. So if we were able to self-fund then, why can't we make up that shortfall now? You speak of all the doctors, engineers, and lawyers that come out of these HBCUs. Where they at? If this is your alma mater, you should be getting back to it.
Whoa.
And
Notice you.
hold on.
No, 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 no,
I'll let
no,
you
no, no,
digest. Hold
no,
on.
no,
Let me
no.
get
I'm
mine
gonna
off.
stop you. I'm gonna stop you when
Let
you
me get
say
mine
what
off.
somebody should be doing with their money.
Let me get mine off. Well, do we say that to a Harvard or a Yale? Because most of their alumni give back
We
to
don't
them.
say that. We don't. Well, no, we don't. Most of the alumni don't give back. But go
Yes, they
ahead,
do.
sir. When you talk about percentages, only 10 to 20% of their alumni give back to their school.
I'm not even. And I see
You
what you.
don't you dare
Hold
use
on.
that. Don't you
Hold
dare
on,
use your
Corey.
comment of saying I'm not talking about them people. I'm talking about our people. You brought them into the conversation, so you can't move it from there.
I'm not even moving the goalpost because I don't hold this at the feet of the alumni. I hold this at the feet of the institution because if they are, and I have not done the numbers on what the alumni contribute, I'm pretty sure it is some that do, but that money ain't filtering back into improvements inside the institution. My issue with the HBCU system as a whole is not with the professors, it's not with the students, it's not with the alumni. It is strictly with the leadership in place at most of your HBCU system. I lay all the problems in the HBCU at the feet of his leadership. That's what
All
I'm
right.
saying. So open up the books. If you don't want the public to see it, at least let your alumni see it. Let us know what's going on. Why are we in financial straits? Why is this an issue? Why can't we clean up the dorms? Why can't we do proper upkeep and maintenance to dorm rooms? You have your children ready to sit out and live outside the dorm rooms like they are at Howard and Hampton, rather than go in these subpar dorms. That's an issue. And I'm
Okay.
not lying because you go on YouTube, it's video after video after video after video of the students saying, this is the problem. This is what we living in. They're showing you video all on Instagram, all on Facebook. This is not me talking. This is our children telling us this. You sent me, mom and dad, you sent me to this. That's an issue. I don't put it on the parents because they're
Okay.
not showing you this. You don't know this is happening. All of us didn't know this was happening. Most of us didn't know this was happening until Dion said something, Ed Reed said something. But it's been going on for decades. And it's high time it needs to be addressed. Yes, put it on Front Street. Put it all out there. Sometimes you got to air your dirty laundry to clean it. That's
All
just
right. Now, okay. So now you brought us some excellent points and some things that need to be taken care of. We're gonna try to play a video of the interim president of Bethune-Cookman, and we can see if what y'all think about some of his explanations. But before we do, just Ed Reed, the football coach, uh, without having an officially signed contract, making the comments and doing the things they did. Do you, as far as that is concerned, do you think that was a good idea for him to speak on social media in the manner that he did before getting his contract?
I think you should have got the contract first.
Yeah.
That would have been a lot harder for them to fire you.
No, they just had to pay him, but they will get his ass up out of there.
Well,
The outcome,
Uh,
I don't disagree with
I don't told
the
you.
same way.
When you go in somebody's house and try telling them this ugly ass paint on this wall, they even let you sit there and talk about the house for too long. That's just nature of human nature. Number
yeah.
two, do I think see this is Tony. Tony knows this very well about me. Do I think that Ed shouldn't have said what he said? No, because that's Ed. Do I think Ed said what he said was detrimental to Ed's future endeavors? Yes, but I don't want. But as a man that I highly respect, and I do know a lot about how much he gives in so many different ways, and I do know where the man's heart is. No, he should have said it where he said it. But understand, sometimes being who you are does affect where you can be. As long as he's cool with the outlet, it's cool with me. I'm kind of jaded in that I did want that knowledge and that information back there to with those kids somewhere, some way, some form. And from my understanding, being the man that he is, and I can only take it for the word because I don't really be with the man or anything like that every day. He says just because this one didn't work doesn't mean he's moving. He's gonna stop doing what he do. So
Right.
he's gonna be all right.
All right.
And yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So let's just play the video of the interim president of Bethune-Cookman. Guys, just let me know if you hear it or it's clear. Give me a thumbs up, a message or something. All right.
Oh, hold on, TJ.
President, or was it the
Tony, I
board of
think
trustees?
18% of
He was the
Harvard
interim
did that.
president. It was
18%.
Hmm.
Well,
I was close.
so we should be seeing the same correlation on our side too, then, right?
I haven't pulled up the information on our side, but
Okay.
I'm just giving an example. It's not as much as you think it is. But go ahead, TJ.
my decision.
It was your decision.
Yes.
And so why did you make that decision not to move forward with Ed Reed?
So we, as you know, about Sunday, a week ago, well, let me back up. Actually, starting in December, we were working on a contract for on naming Ed Reed as the head coach. I interviewed Ed, and I had three important things that I asked him to ensure that he was willing to do as part of becoming part of the Wildcat family. One was I needed him to really understand that we were a Christian institution, that behavior and character were clearly our priorities. And I asked him if that was okay with him. Could he abide by that? Could he, position himself as a role model for our student athletes as well as for the university itself? He indicated he would. Second question I asked is, well, great. I'm glad you're willing to do that. I need to know if you're also willing to build the kind of program that will allow you, because you've not been a coach before. This is an opportunity for you to be a head coach your first time. The university is giving you an opportunity to do that. And therefore, we want to surround you with the kind of people that can draw up the X and O's and help you become a stronger coach. He said, I get that. And I'm willing to do that. The third thing is I said, this is not University of Miami and it's not the NFL. We just came through 2 hurricanes, $6 million worth of damage. Much of what we've been working on for the last year and a half is improvements not only to the university's infrastructure, but also a long-term investment plan. We have about $100 million that we need to invest in the university over the next several years. We said to him, look, you're going to become part of that. Are you open to helping us do that and build the program? He said yes to that. So when we saw the first video criticizing the university and saying, well, it's trashy and my office is dirty and all that, first of all, he was an employee of the university and he had not an office. When the last staff moved out, we started renovating that building, everything from the coaches' rooms to the other places. We had given him some permission that he really took to the next level. First of all, he wasn't authorized to even take video. He wasn't authorized to do any of those things, but he did them anyway. The university had to take responsibility for that because it happened. But quiet as kept, that isn't the kind of behavior that we would expect. And then the expletives and the those kinds of things in that first video, you might call that an aberration. And I would say it could be. And you have to be a forgiving individual. But when you have this much damage, you look at the gym and you look at this video and you look at it critically. But I would invite anyone to come to our campus because all parts of our campus don't look that way. We are really trying to work hard to clean it up. And given the fact that, again, we suffered 2 hurricanes back to back, and because of supply chain issues, because most people in Florida, particularly Central Florida, are still recovering. I have people from my staff living on our campus because their homes were destroyed. Ed didn't take those things into account.
Dr. Hold tight 1 second. Continue our conversation with Dr. Lawrence Drake, who's the interim president at Bethune-Cookman. Dr. Drake, you were talking about the conditions, him not being allowed to shoot video on campus. What was it the second video? What was the final straw? What caused it where you made the decision that we're not moving forward with Ed Reed as coach?
I think the final straw was actually the third or fourth video, one with the background music being booties, butts, and boobs, and hoes. And, we have 65% of our campus is female. And my view is that we are trying to build young men to respect Black women. We're trying to build a culture where they understand that people can say whatever they want to say, but we think you can do anything respectfully. And when we think about the culture that we're trying to build, that we have companies and partners like Disney and some of our other partners calling saying, what are you going to do about that? We can't support that kind of image. And of course, they're one of our biggest sponsors for the Classic.
So you're saying Disney, officials with Disney called you complaining about Ed Reed and saying we can't support Bethune-Cookman if he is going to represent the university?
They didn't say we can't. They questioned what we were going to do. And I think that was.
All right, gentlemen. There you go. There's the interim president And those are some of his comments in the interview.
Why did you let these people hear from that coward?
Lawrence Drake.
I
I
don't care
think
what
people
he is. He's a coward. I
on
don't you. We don't need to know where he comes from, Tone. He's a coward. We know that. They need to fire his ass. Don't even waste these people's intelligence to look up this fool.
you make it like you're not dealing with adults. Like we've never heard salty language before. Oh my God, me clutching my pearls because he cussed and on
Tony,
his own social media platform.
Tony, he's trying to assault it. See, now he's trying to counter because he feels jilted because he picked this man and this man was not did not conform to his program, and this man went rogue on him. But honestly, he keeps saying we did not give him permission. The man was not employed by you for you to give him
You need
permission to do.
permission.
No, 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 no. You keep saying you can't. I'm gonna tell you like this. You can go on any university campus you want to, and you can turn your phone on and FaceTime, a live chat, just like all the students on those campuses do when they visited mom, dad, or whomever, right? Ed Reed was not an employee of that university. Now, should you say, now you could say he was in violation of being at the school cleaning up? Maybe. But you wouldn't go, but you wouldn't say that. But for him, as a person that's not employed by you, to come on that campus and clean up and do all that other stuff and decide to go live, sorry, bruh. Should have put him on contract before you let his ass on campus.
But
Number two,
that's an argument
number
he wouldn't win any day of the week because this
no,
man took out his own time when he's not employed, not getting paid for it, and
mm,
time out to clean up your institution. That's something you should have done.
yes,
Now,
and
I'm gonna touch on something that he said that I think people kind of glossed over. If Disney is one of your biggest contributors, you get money from the federal government. Once again, I have to go out. I have to go on this line of thinking. Where is that money going?
I
Because
guarantee you, I guarantee
it's
you,
obviously,
part of that
hold on,
conversation.
it's
Go ahead.
obviously not going into the institution. It's not going.
Some of it is, we're not going to say all the money's getting stolen, Tony. That's my thing. We're not saying all the money's getting stolen because the university still manages to do some things. Now, I will say there are misappropriation with the funds. I think that's one of my sticking points when we say all the money's getting stolen. No, all the money's not getting stolen.
No, because they're still paying. For the most part, they are still paying bills. But you should have a surplus. You should have rainy day funds.
No, I won't say they should have a surplus. I would say they should have enough money to accomplish what they set out to accomplish with the funds that were given to them. I'm going to still stick on the point that even though you can count the money you see going in there, these schools are vastly underfunded compared to their peers. That's all I'm going to say. So it's not like they just have a gobbles of surpluses.
I'm pretty sure you have funding for a janitorial staff.
I don't disagree. Like I said, there are
So
like I stated earlier.
things like trash being
I
inside,
stated what did I
inside
stated
buildings.
earlier. One thing that I have learned over the years, when you start getting into places where people are generally underfunded, or for instance in society, when we go to look at what quote unquote they used to be called the housing departments and all this other stuff, and we start dig diving and they start looking at the people, the administrators and all this other stuff, and slumlords and all this other stuff, you find that people tend to, when there's a lack of resources, people find ways to steal resources. I don't know what's the correlation from it. I don't know if it's the crab in the barrel mentality. I don't know what you're going to call it, but as somebody told me, the problem is you shouldn't put crabs in a damn barrel. They ain't where they're supposed to live. So go figure it out.
I'm gonna say this. I grew up as a lot of people did. I grew up underprivileged. I grew up in a community that was sorely lacking in resources. But what you didn't see in that community when I was growing up was the people houses weren't dilapidated. They at least cleaned their houses.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Wait, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a
Everything can
question.
be fault. You can have some stuff coming. Maybe you need a new roof. Maybe this part of your porch is sagging, but the yard was clean.
Let me
The
ask you a
house
question.
inside was clean.
Let
And
me ask you a question.
going with that is that simple stuff like cleaning up, like picking up trash, like picking up debris. You claim, oh, we went through 2 hurricanes back to back. Well, certain things like picking up the debris does not require this a mass amount of funding. It requires you to get your janitorial staff out there and at least make the facilities look like there's something, even if they're not. So there's no excuse for that.
Let
And
me ask you a question, Tony.
if you got these corporate sponsors like Disney, that's a drop in the bucket to ask them, hey, look, we just went through these hurricanes. We don't have the money to do the cleanup. Can you help us? Since you're touting Disney, since you're using Disney as your scapegoat as to why you fired Ed Reed, because I picked up on that. It wasn't me. Disney asked me what I was gonna do. We should turn around and ask Disney, well, can you give us the money to help us? Since you asking what I'm gonna do with my head coach, I
Bingo. Disney gives a little money because it's a university in Central Florida. All right, and Disney also has
no,
to.
you're missing my point.
Oh no,
Since
I know
Disney
your point. I get your point. Disney ain't give. I'm gonna break it down.
He's trying to throw Disney under the bus and say it wasn't
Right,
me, it was Disney. So you
right,
should have turned
yes.
around. If you were the head of that school, you should have turned around and asked Disney, okay, since that's your stance on it, we'll kick in something to contribute to make this better. That's what I would
Tony,
have done. I would have put Disney in a position to basically tell them, "Hey, shut your fucking mouth if you ain't trying to help us."
No, CD shouldn't even been in the conversation with Disney. What it boils down to is when you see weak men can't stand on their own, they use other people to give you an explanation of their decision. What should
Mhm.
have happened is he should have came on there and said, "Well, it's due to in, recent incidents and recent interactions with Ed Reed. I don't feel like he's the man to lead my program. So I decided to, or me and my administration decided to end relationship with this man. It shouldn't have been because Disney called me. It shouldn't have been because so and so called me. This man and I ain't gonna work together. That's what you do when you stand on your stuff as a
And you
man.
stand on it.
But he chose to give all these different reasons. The booty shaking music. Let me explain something to you. You may not like the music, you may not whatever, but that promise you that music was not the reason you wanted to fire that man. The reason you wanted to fire that man was because he came on Al Gore's internet and put you on blast. That's why you want to fire that man. He put you in a bad light. He made you have to answer. He made you have to answer shit that you did not want to answer. Fine. You have every right in the world to say, look, I'm not finna go up. I'm not finna bring him into here because this right here ain't what I want.
We didn't say that.
That's all. I agree with you. I told you straight up. Why are we listening to this fool? I've heard that. I heard this whole thing.
Yep. Well, we need to play it, for those who didn't hear it. But so obviously, uh, you guys do not believe what anything that is saying, or do you believe
No.
that he's stating stuff, but he's wording it or using it a different way?
Hmm.
He's trying to scapegoat everything but himself.
Yeah.
Get out of this.
Hmm.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna touch on Lawrence Drake.
Yeah.
Lawrence Drake comes out of Pepsi, and he still has relationships. He was a VP with Pepsi Cola. He was over the Africa division. So this man has access to resources. He can leverage those relationships that he just came from to funnel funds in there. If for nothing else, and I keep going back to this because I'm gonna keep harping on this. If for nothing else, to clean up the facility. This is not hard. You were a VP at a Fortune 500 company. It's
Right.
good for their image. It's good for your image. For him to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I need you to send me. Let's work out something where you can send me $100,000. I can get a cleaning crew out here to do some general cleanup out here just to make my facilities look like there's something on it." Since
Right.
we're 2 hurricanes as the excuse to why your institution is in disrepair. That would have been an easy call to make. It would have been a good business move for Pepsi. It would have been a good business move for the Bethune-Cookman. He did none of that. I've never been in the VP seat of a Fortune 500 company, and I had the common sense to even think that should have been my first call coming in the door.
Yeah.
So all of this, if you got the relationship with Disney, all the people that the institution has a relationship with, it benefits them to give you a little bit of money because that's a drop in the bucket to them. But collectively, once you get this little bit of money from this one, now you have disposable income to do those things, to do the general upkeep and maintenance. If you got some facilities that need some repair work, need new roofs, need plumbing done, or whatever the need is, they can tout this on their website. They can go and say, we gave this much to the HBCU for funding after the hurricane. That's good PR. But the fact that you're not doing that, you're not leveraging the relationships from the companies that you came from. You're not leveraging, as a matter of fact, you're using them to justify you throwing Ed Reed up out of there. That speaks volume. You're a fucking coward.
Great
And you
information.
shouldn't be leading the institution, point blank.
Yep. And that just continues to follow on. That continues to follow up what you're saying. Hot tub about administration is the issue. Those are good ideas that you have there in place. Corey, any comments on the interim president before we move to Reggie Theus?
I don't want to hear no more of them. I'm tired of all of them. I done told you this.
Let me stop you right here. I got one more point to make on this.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
He stated that Ed Reed is a new coach. He's never been in a head coaching position. Well, Lawrence Drake, you've never been in charge of any school. So,
Dude,
so
let me jump in. Let me just tag me in, Tone. Tag me in, Tone. Tag me in. All right. Now, get into him saying that. That was, like I said, it goes back to trying to throw somebody on the bus. Oh, he's going back to you needy Ed Reed, you blah, 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 blah. You need us. We don't need you. And all the other things that he was trying to say. Look, dudes, he just come down to it. Bro, you cross the line with me. I'm not going to let you be in there. Now, he needed Ed Reed because he told the man, I brought you in here to help raise funds.
Yep.
Most people don't understand this. What is the number one job of a president of any university? White, black, green, Korean, Asian, Mexican, Jewish, or whatever. What are there's two things that they're in charge. There's the most important things of their tenure as the president and lead administrator. Do y'all know?
I'm waiting for the answer.
I'm asking you. That's right. Bring funding and enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the main two. If they can't increase funding and increase enrollment, they will lose their jobs. Those are the two main purposes. All right. Most people know it's not about the day-to-day administration of the school. No, it's not. They got other people to handle that part of the business. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so one, like you said, he has not leveraged his relationship with Pepsi, Disney, or whomever else to bring in the money to do whatever thing. Right? He's brought Ed Reed in there because honestly, when it comes to athletic programs, whether it's a PWI, whether it's any other school, most of the money for the athletic department comes within the athletic department. They raise their own money for their stadiums, for this, that, and third. Now, the difference between some of the PWIs is they have what's called super boosters. And that drives the needle on how much money. Whereas if you look at it like the University of Oregon, Oregon has who?
Phil Knight.
Phil Knight. Oklahoma State has who?
Somebody that owns Sky Oil. Somebody. I don't know his name.
T-Boone Pickens.
Yep.
You see where this is going? Oklahoma has a Jerry Jones. You see all these different schools have. But anyway, I'm just bringing out these things. That's why it's kind of like the funding part of these athletic programs is a little bit different. Because when you start dropping down to these HBCUs, yes, we have professional athletes. But we had a discussion last week about what a professional athlete is and what a professional owner is two different income brackets, two different worlds of income and disposable income. There's a difference between 30 years of generational wealth and 3 years of generational wealth. So
All right. Well, right now the current number of students at Bethune-Cookman is 3,773. From my understanding, enrollment has been it's been increasing. So enrollment,
Hmm.
I don't think is the issue. I think the issue are the things that we're talking about. And but
Well,
yeah,
the issue
but,
is
but
they got it. The issue is, all right. I will go. Here's the issue.
oh, but hold on for it. But they do. But we do need to. But people do need to understand that Bethune-Cookman is a small uh, university, as we just
Yes, it
stated,
is.
3,700, 700
And they have
enrollments.
I can't. I don't have the numbers. I had it earlier this week. The
Okay.
academic staff is, I want to say, around it is either 200 or 400, but it's no more than four something. But I think it's more like 200 some odd academic staff. Their graduation rate is at 33%, which is lower than the national average.
Hmm.
Which is a problem, honestly. Um, I did not get the percentage of the athletes that graduate. That's the other thing. But usually the athletes graduate at a higher percentage than the general college. I think the national average of graduation rate, um, depending on where you look, is somewhere around 40% to 50%.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's very small.
Well,
Very
let's
small university.
let's not hang our hats on that because if we look at the PWIs, that their athletes don't graduate because most go to the league because a lot go to the league.
No, most don't. But if you don't know, because the average graduation rate of our PWIs is still high as hell. Most athletes graduate when they go to college. There's a reason why. Think of it in terms of this. You take the basketball scenario out when one and done's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when you do that. And you got to remember, on any given team, you have maybe, even if you take a basketball roster of 15 kids, right? You may have two to three. You got to get rid of the Kentuckys and the Dukes and the ones that have a ton of them. You may have two to three athletes that are graduating
All right, hold on, Corey. Come back. Corey. All right. We'll get him back. We'll get him back, Hot Tub. But
All
yeah,
right,
I think what he was going to say is that there's a for most schools, like it's a small percentage of players that go to the professional level.
it is, but
Yeah,
they do leave the school to enter the draft, right or wrong, whether they get drafted or not. A good percentage of them do leave the school to go into the draft on the hopes that they get picked up.
yeah, you're going to have that as well. And then also you have players on the rosters, like they may be on the end of the bench, but they have high GPAs, and that helps with the averages and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll fill the roster up with guys that's not going to play a lot that make good grades. You know,
And
so
I think we got too into the weeds because, like I say, and I'm gonna keep going back to this. I don't lay the blame at the feet of the student athletes. I don't lay the
mhm.
feet of the blame at their parents, nor do I do it at the feet of the day-to-day people, your professors out there, people like that, your donors. I don't lay the blame at their feet. My issue was with what you just played. And that is indicative of these administrations at these HBCUs. Because when they pin down, when they get into these situations where people pin them down on the issues, their immediate response is to go to deflecting. Well, this group of donors didn't give us anything. The federal government didn't give us anything. What did you do with the resources that you had in place?
Yeah.
Because you should be able to say, you should be able to come out and say, hey, this is what we had. This,
Hmm.
and this is why we don't have extra funding for this. That
Yep.
would get people up off of you real quick.
Yep. Well, hopefully we'll get we'll eventually get to the bottom of all this. But the conversation is definitely out there now. And if anybody didn't know about Bethune-Cookman, they at least know a little bit about it now, where it is, that kind of thing. So we'll see. Until Corey gets back, we'll go ahead and just play Reggie Theus, the
Mhm.
current athletic director and head basketball coach, and we'll listen to what he has to say about Ed Reed, and we'll play part of the interview.
Bethune-Cookman University, there is quite a lot going on there. as the athletic director over the last 2 or maybe not quite 2 years. You've been able to try to guide the program to rebuild in certain areas and to go forward in other areas. Just talk about, how did Ed Reed actually become a candidate as the head football coach of Bethune-Cookman University?
Well, we have a tremendous system, and we have a committee. There's about 5 or 6 people on the committee. We've identified through resumes, which you got over 100 resumes when the job first came open. Through the resumes and through contacts, I created a short list, and then I created a secondary list. And Ed was one of those shortlist people. I had 2 other guys that were, just as big, more coaching ability, more coaching, and big name guys that I thought would be really a great partner for me in my endeavors here at Bethune-Cookman, and also to build the football program. It's been an interesting process, but through interviews and also through our committee, through many conversations and talking to many people. You do your due diligence from sometime what you read and sometime what people tell you, but mostly, you talk to the people who work with these guys and who've been around these coaches before. That really does give you your best due diligence. And then, of course, the conversations that you have with them over time.
And so with your conversations with Ed, what convinced you that he had the passion, had the knowledge, had the skills, and the compatibility to be the head football coach at Bethune-Cookman University?
Vaughn, when you talk to people, you get a sense of their passion. You get a sense of their focus. His football pedigree is not questioned, in terms of what he's accomplished as a football player. He's done a lot of community work. He's been involved in his own foundation for a long time. And I do believe underneath it all, he's really about the kids. He's really about building. I didn't worry too much about first year coach. I didn't worry too much about his ability. Sometimes, you either can coach or you can't. And everybody has to start somewhere. I remember my first job as a head basketball coach. I mean, I had coached on different levels, but never on that level. So, when you talk to him and you deal with the passion, you deal with his pedigree, you look at what you're trying to build for the university. Those are the things that for me were the biggest factors. He had the ability to bring to excite our fan base. He had the ability to recruit. I think he had a tremendous class he was trying to work on through the assistant coaches, and through this time here, he was talking about some guys that were 3-star, 4-star players. And then the bigger part is, I recognize that our football program, going back when we made the change in the football coach, I talked to the administration. I said, listen, there's no reason to make a change if we're not going to put a renewed emphasis on building our football program. And Ed, to me, was a part of that overall building of that football program, because we don't have locker rooms on campus. We don't have an equipment room on campus. We don't have a practice field on campus. And these are the things that I told Ed that, I needed someone that could help me build these things through fundraising and, contacts, because a lot of times the Daytona area has everybody, it's a small place. So everybody, there's a cap on where you can go when it comes to fundraising. So you have to have a longer reach. And I thought Ed gave us a very long reach with people that could help us, require our goal. And that was to build facilities and really ultimately get a winning football team in here, the one that can win a championship. And obviously,
Okay, gentlemen. I think we heard enough there. You can see where some of the reasons why uh, athletic director Reggie Theus wanted Ed Reed at Bethune-Cookman. So, what's your thoughts?
I,
I don't
I'm
think Ed Reed was his first choice.
I'm with Clyde. I want to know the big name. What other who were the big names?
Now, see, Tone, that's that you're gonna get when you go into that conversation. He can go big names and say, "Yo, naming an ex pro coach like Grambling did when they hired what's his name, Tyrone? Hugh
Jackson.
Hugh Jackman, or I mean Hugh Jackson, or so it. I mean, I hear you, Clyde, but that could be rhetoric because what a big name is depends on what you consider a big name. You consider a big name in well.
All right, we'll get Corey back in.
Uh,
He'll jump back. He'll jump right back in. But I want to
that's
know those names as well, though, because like Ed Reed is a big name, right? That's a Hall of Fame safety, one of the best at the position ever, and so on and so forth. And so we know if he's a big name, Ed Reed, and he said there was two other big names. Uh, I would be curious to see who those names were on the table.
I mean, just to be honest with you, from my
Yeah,
point of view, I think that it sounds like cap to me. And if you did have these so-called bigger names, and you saw something in Ed Reed that made him your number one choice, then why now
Can
are
y'all
y'all
hear me?
him? You
yeah,
knew
we,
what you
we
were
lost
getting.
you there, Corey, but Tub is saying got the same. I think his question. What was it again, Tub? At the end that you just said.
I say, if you knew this, if you saw what you saw in Ed Reed would help you make your decision. You knew anybody that has watched Ed Reed for any amount of time. You knew what you were getting into. He's very outspoken. This is what he does, and now you're surprised. Oh, he put us on blast. So, but he's done this before, and he didn't do it in a disrespectful manner. He just highlighted the problems that you didn't want highlighted.
All right. Well,
You
Clyde.
got what you paid for.
Yeah. We thank Clyde for his comment. He wants to know those big name guys as well. Like, and I know Tub, you said you agree with Clyde on that. Some things that I did jot down was that at first, like who are these other guys? And but to me, I think ultimately, like Ed Reed was his best um, choice because, and the committee's best choice because of what he said about the longer reach. I think that would be the separation of Ed Reed and whoever else they were interviewing and were considering, because Ed Reed, as he stated, right, that he was able to get Shaq on board and Edrin James and whoever else and whatever else he had coming, but he said he had a lot on the way. So I think they wanted win-win partnership. Small school,
It,
let's get somebody big in here and get the athletic pieces taken care of by Ed Reed and his contacts.
they were looking at the fact that Ed Reed could leverage his relationships to bring funds and notoriety to the institution.
Yep.
That's what
Uh,
we're counting on.
Absolutely. You back, Corey?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right.
What's your
You got anything
question,
on
brother?
Reggie Theus? Well, just anything on Reggie
Mm,
Theus and some of the things he was saying. Oh, he
not
did.
really, because I
And you can
kind of
speak and speak on the no locker room on campus, the no equipment, no practice field.
um that does make it hard for a program. It really does. I'm gonna tell you why. Because a lot of times when you start having off-campus facilities for your players, I can it makes it where the kids have to find ways to practice. And then you gotta when you want to have workouts and everything else, you start having to try. It's just it becomes a lot of work on the staff and or the players too. It's hard. It's not off campus facilities is not easy to do.
Mhm.
Now But with me, that I'm gonna still go with. That's something that everybody knew was part of the program that was coming in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't lose the practice fields on campus and things like that the other day. I mean, it's always been like that.
But this is,
Hmm.
and that would be my question. How how long has this football program been in place? And you don't have locker room, you don't have workout equipment, you don't have the basic things to have a functioning team to train.
Mm,
So how long have you never had that, or did you have it at one time and it went into disrepair? It's a lot of questions about that because you said, well, we don't have that. Well, why don't you have that?
Mhm.
Somebody needs to explain that to you because you're recruiting children here to play football and you don't have facilities for them. So how are you able to keep recruiting children to come in and play sports here if you don't have functioning facilities? You don't have the basics. The basics. It's 2023. Now I just heard several big name companies that are contributing to your institution, and none of them are willing to sponsor $50,000, $75,000 to build up just to give you the equipment. This is shameful. This is absolutely fucking shameful. Stop it. You might as well stop your whole athletic program. If you don't have proper training facility, proper training equipment, the basics to have a team. And to get up there and just say it so matter of factly, oh yeah, so everybody knew that we didn't have that. I didn't know that. I'm pretty sure some of the parents didn't know that. So
no, the parents, if the parents or the players would know that because they took those kids on campus. Let's be fair now. When you recruit, they do take you on campus and you tour the facilities. Okay?
who's to say that they took them around there and to let them see what they're using as their facilities? They
I
probably just
mean,
around
that's
the
that.
campus.
I won't let them get away with that one, Tom. Trust me. They went on. If you're, it's part. That's part of the game.
Okay.
Now, I will
If
tell
you
you. I will tell you. I'm gonna tell you like this, Tom. You're dealing with young men of a certain age group, right?
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can sell those kids on sometimes. And also remember, they don't remember when Tyrone said, "Why aren't they recruiting XYZ child?"
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I told you it comes down to facilities and other things that they can't recruit those kids.
Mhm.
Okay,
So once again, it's 2023. How long has
I don't
this
care
been?
what I don't care what I don't care what year it
Hold on.
is.
Hold on. How long has this been like this? Because I'm pretty sure this didn't happen in the last 5 years.
Hmm.
This has been an ongoing issue for
Hmm.
probably decades. And at
Hmm.
no time did you think that I need some facilities, even if it took you 10 years to do it. We
It
shouldn't
wasn't
be,
important to him.
and you don't have it.
Yeah, it wasn't important to him.
Well, what was important to them? Because I
What was
cannot,
important to?
once again,
What was important to him? All the
go
other
back
stuff they got going on.
messed over.
Huh?
At, I can go back to it where a lot of money got messed over at Bethune-Cookman.
I don't disagree with you, Tony. I'm not saying it ain't, but you asked me that wasn't. That's not the number. I've told you this before. You and Tyrone tend to forget that when you're dealing with these academia types, it's a different. That what's important to them is totally different than what you would consider to be important.
Well, then don't have an athletic program. And that's what I'm
Hey,
telling
I mean, well, you just don't have a football program. It's a lot cheaper to have other programs. Cheap football is the most expensive program you can have at your university.
you. Okay, so if you can't afford to have the football program, don't have the program. If you see no
I
value
burn them
in having
down.
an athletics
You know what
program
I said for
and
all
your
y'all to ask
institution
those
don't have,
questions. And for all y'all, I've told you earlier. We're gonna go back to this conversation I said earlier. If y'all feel like they don't deserve to have them, burn them all down and figure out what y'all gonna do with those kids that now no longer have that opportunity.
All right. Well, here's a couple comments. We thank OG $2 for his comments earlier, and Clyde Marshall on his. Clyde was saying that Richard Theus is using the big name quote to suggest there were other NFL candidates that they
Yeah,
could have they could have went with. So
probably.
so maybe it was a couple other NFL guys, but Ed Reed probably is probably the one that had the longest reach at this time to probably get more things done, i.e., like a Deion Sanders type of celebrity football coach. Russell Haynes says at least something is being done now, thanks to the students. So some things are being done now. Russell, can you, if you can, just let us know some of those things uh, that you think are being done now? That'll help us out. Clyde comes back with something here that we can take a look at. Revealed on the Roller Mountain show. And by the way, we did play the clip of the interim president that was off the Roland Martin show. And HBU's Game Day, that's the interview where we played the Reggie Theus interview, part of that interview. But the other day on the Roland Martin had received, says that Bethune, received a government spreadsheet from Congressman Claiborne, looks like. The spreadsheet identified disbursements to all
Uh-oh.
HBCUs. And BC
Uh-oh.
and Bethune-Cookman received $68 million.
So $68 million that they received. On top of the $101 million forgiving grant that they received to pay off the debt from the $80 million that they put up to improve facilities. So now that's what? $168 million that this institution, Bethune-Cookman, has received over the course of the last 2.5 years. Why then you don't have any equipment and trash facilities? That's a lot of money in a 2.5 year time span. See, this rabbit hole get deep when you start putting numbers to everything. And I'm not just pulling that $100 million out of my ass. Look it up. It's several articles written about it.
Mm. And there's Clyde again, the disbursements before to BCU within 2019 and 2021.
So you can't pour mouth this one. You can't say, "Oh, we didn't have it. We don't have it. Oh, we don't get any money." No. So somewhere along the lines, if you spent it up, let's just say for shits and giggles, ain't nobody stealing. You ran up that much debt to where $160 million still is not enough for you to bring your institution up to code. I'm calling BS. See, it's a whole lot different, and understand why Congressman Clyburn did this. That was CYA, because what you see a lot with the HBCU system is they blame the federal government. They say the federal government ain't giving us no money. The federal government ain't giving us no money. And that was a shot across the bow to say, hey, y'all can't put this on us. Look here, this is what we gave. This is your endowment that we gave you. So everybody, it seems like everybody is going into CYA, cover your ass mode, just because of Ed Reed comments. The institution throwing Disney under the bus. The athletic director is throwing everybody under the bus, and the Congress people are throwing the institution itself under the bus.
And how many buses is
it? Bottom line, let's start looking at who's sitting on that board of regents. Who are the trustees? Start digging into their background. How long you been there? Because if this has been going on throughout your whole tenure, while you've been sitting on that board of trustees, you the problem. You the damn problem. Because I keep getting example after example after example where money is coming in at. So now I want to see the books. You're a public institution. Now you're a private institution. But if you want us to keep going to war and holding the banner for the HBCU system for Bethune-Cookman, well, goddamn it, put my mind at ease and show me what you're not misappropriating funds.
I told you, burn them all down.
Hey guys, Oh, go ahead,
What?
go ahead. I was gonna say, go ahead, and then we'll talk about Russell Hayes' comments.
I said burn them all down because that seems to be the glowing impression that we all seem to want to give. Burn the damn schools
Not,
down.
not Corey. It is not.
I'm not just talking about you, Tony, but I am talking about us as the general narrative of what we are. I'm not.
Oh, we just lost him. At a good point too. At a good part. But
Boy,
no, we not.
ain't
I
gonna go,
don't think we. Court doesn't like to hear that. And but that's not what we're really looking at. It's just like trying to get to the
I
bottom.
want to see. I want to see all our legacy organizations succeed. But I'm not going to go. I'm not going to stomp the yard. I'm not going to go in defense mode for you if you're not operating in the best interest of my people. I'm not. Now, in the case in that scenario, yes, it's better that you fail
Oh.
because then we keep throwing money into this black hole that is our HBCU system
First of
with
all, hold
with
up,
no
hold up,
return.
hold up. First of all, we ain't throwing money into our HBCUs. But let's not go crazy. Out of the three of us, out of three? How much do we give back to black colleges? Hmm.
I didn't give nothing back. I tell you
Okay,
no lie.
so don't say we are throwing our money. Now, but let's go. All right, now on the same token, all I'm saying is this is my thing. Yes, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you to pick the banner up and say HBCU, HBCU, HBCU. But what I am telling you is, right now, the only narrative I hear about HBCUs is they're trash. That's all I've been hearing. That's all I've been hearing because Ed Reed said they're trash. They're trash. They're useless. They're da 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 da. I'm not even talking about my brother Tony. I am talking about the general consensus I've heard for the last week, for the last 2 months since Dion has left Colorado, that these schools are failing us completely. Now, I am reasonable to say that there are tons of issues in these schools, right? But my problem a
Absolutely.
lot of times, my problem a lot of times is there's also certain things that these schools are still doing in spite of. Because we're yes, we need to remove this administration. Yes, we need to clean these books up and all the other things that are so true. But nobody can tell me what are we going to do with these kids that do graduate from these schools at a higher rate than they do from PWIs. These kids that this is the place that gave them a chance when the PWIs didn't.
Hmm.
We're not talking about all the other solutions. Once we get rid of these schools, there is something missing. There
I
nobody's gave me a
agree,
solution to replace. So
but that is why
and hold on. Let me finish. And I
okay.
haven't, Tony, you know how I am. It goes to the subject about when people talk about our kids, how they're this, they're this, they're this. All I keep hearing is about all the bad with no solutions, and we forget about the one. Because I've always been told if you can help one, then you're doing something right. You're not going to help everybody, but if we can get that one, that two out of however many, that's one less that we got to worry about, right? But nobody's giving me a solution to do with what to. Matter of fact,
No, not
out of GP. Most people don't
not
realize. Hold on. Let me finish something. Most people do not realize that Morris Brown is scheduled to be reaccredited in the next year or two. It's not even nobody even hears that part of it. All we hear is that all these schools are terrible. And I know what they're gonna say, well, Morris Brown should be stay closed because of whatever, but most people don't realize that Morris Brown is the only institution of higher learning in this country that was built by the hands of slaves, and we allowed that place to get discredited, uncredited, and we allowed that place almost closed to the point where other people were just starving to steal that property. And when it comes back, it will never be the same. They've lost property and everything else they had to do to reinstitute that institution. At what point do our legacies matter and we stop saying get rid of them and throwing them away? Because you know what? It's the same reason I'm on my soapbox. It's the same reason why we got a damn dome downtown, and two black churches get destroyed. I guarantee there was a synagogue sitting right next to where that dome got built right now. It wouldn't be there. So when do we stop throwing our shit away and start telling them, well, yes, burn it up because it's no uses because they say it has no value? When do we start trying to preserve and building them up? When do we
we
go
are
in there and start
that
hold on, Tony.
hold
When do we
on,
go in there and
no,
clean?
Oh, he's
No, no, no,
preaching.
no, no, no.
because
When do we go in there and clean house?
and it need to be addressed. Now I get your passion in it. But you said ain't nobody coming up with solutions. Hell, when I came on here last week, I gave you solutions. I put forth my solution. If you don't like my solutions, give me yours. Came in this week. It starts with getting rid of these administrations. It starts to look at where the money has been allocated to.
They have no problem. Wait, Tone, do I agree or disagree that the administration needs to be removed?
Where the money is went to. I never get on these platforms and say we need to do it. I understand the historical significance of our HBCU system. But
historical, I understand what it's doing right now.
Run them don't, or they don't care. So you're not gonna get in on you. I'm not gonna let you get on here and just throw them blanket statements out there, because there's a lot of people. Nobody's. I don't think anybody is really sitting here saying burn them down. They don't have no more use. No, everybody's saying the same thing on the consensus that I'm seeing. They're saying let's fix it, but us ignoring the problem, us not talking about the problem, ain't fixing a goddamn thing.
And on that note, all right, let's not talk about the problem, but are we talking about the solution? Right?
Yes.
You are talking about solution. We are talking about the solution because me and you are
talking about the solution, Coy.
Yeah. We are talking about it. But I'm telling you now, the narrative that we're presenting out here, and then even in this conversation, I've had to say, look, they're not all that bad. And everything goes back to getting rid of the administration. We all agree. That's point blank. We agree, right? But
that's
I'm going to
that's a quality solution right there.
All right. And then the next point, my point being is that at some point, even when we kick these kids, even when we kick these universities down, we have to understand that there's part of that narrative that in spite of all this bullshit, these schools are still creating some of the best among us.
And that's why I say they hold value.
Tony, Tony, you know how I love you to death, brother. But you're passionate and you love your people, right?
I love
but a lot of I believe your people black, right? I'm just checking. I mean, I think I kind of know who you people are. I think I'm one of them, right?
Exactly. I love all my people.
Right. Yes. And and we know that you're my brother. But a lot of times you are all about fixing, right? And a lot of times, yes, and you're about the betterment of our culture. All right, but I'm more of this person that understands that your passion, I can get it because I know how to ride with it, and I know what your end goal is. But when we have these conversations, sometimes there are groups of people in our own community that are just going to pick the negative part of it and use that as an excuse of why this no longer needs to be belong into our community. And what I'm saying is, when we have these arguments, we have to all the shit's going on. We have to still understand that there are roses growing out of this concrete, so we just can't burn down the garden. You see what I'm saying?
And that is why these platforms like this are important, to give that counter narrative, to say, yes, mainstream media is going to cherry pick comments and say, see, this is why they shouldn't be in place. This is what platforms are like these are for. To give us a counter narrative to say, no, we're not saying burn them down. We're saying let's start with getting the solutions. We're throwing out solutions. I'm not saying my solutions are the best solution, but they are a start.
Remember last week we talked about the HBCU starting a brand, and getting their own brand together, and then we generate their own money, their own league, have their own rules.
Here comes the rub on that.
Okay, well go ahead and I'm gonna counter.
Here's the rub on that. The problem with that is these brands are selling like hell. But you know what the problem with that is? You know what the counter narrative is that?
What's that?
That the people that we want to get rid of are the ones that determine where those funds from those brands come from.
It is. So where is the problem then?
We have to do like you said.
You just identified the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there we go. And we move from there. But yeah, Russell Haynes, he definitely says you guys are now talking. Now you're talking, we get into it. And I also like what he said here is when you fall there, you get up and keep it moving. And that's what we have to do. We got to keep things moving. You know that, and the books are open.
Now, let me touch on that comment, because I don't get on here and just talk out my ass. I do research behind this. Anything I say, look it up yourself, verify it. I can even give you links to them if you want. If there is a site that has open accounting, that now I can see not only what's coming in, but where it's going out at. Please drop that link.
Yeah.
And I'll go through it and come back on here next week. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize, but I don't think I am.
Tony, I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, everybody, we thank you all for tuning in too. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button and share. Please do that as much as possible. It helps us out. Let's talk about something good real quick too. On the other side of the fence too, with Tennessee State. You know, Eddie George has been there. He didn't have any coaching experience, so this is a similar trend, if you will. And he's been flying under the radar. You know, because Deion Sanders has more of the notoriety. You know, he's more outgoing. He's in the media more outspoken, things like
He's
that.
loud as hell.
Okay, translation. But Eddie George has been under the radar, right? And he's been at Tennessee State for a couple years now. They're about to play Notre Dame. I think next season. That's going to
Why?
be huge. Well, 'cause it's going to be great for the school, right?
No, it's not.
It's gonna
It's not
bring
gonna be
eyes
great.
to the school. Why
It's
not?
not gonna be.
That's
It's
your opinion.
because your kids are. You can go out there and put them kids against a talent that they're ill equipped to go against. Now, so you're gonna send them. So you're gonna go out there
Well,
get you. No, hold on. Let me.
oh,
I told you know how I
well,
feel
I
about
was
these
talking
cash ass
first
games.
though, boy.
No,
I was
Go ahead,
talking.
let me
You
talk.
jumped in, and now you
you
want to let me jump in.
interjected. You interjected with a
You
question.
you
Why
interjected
not? I'm finna.
into you
All
interjected
right, go
into
T.
when I
Go
was
T.
talking,
Go T. Go T.
and now you
You're
don't want me to
correct. Go
interject
ahead.
when you talking.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
That's
Go
on
ahead.
video. Okay, so
Uh, I
so
told you,
Eddie
don't believe
George,
your lying eyes.
Eddie George, Eddie George is going under the radar. And he's been at Tennessee the last couple of seasons. I'm gonna let you come back on the Notre Dame part, Coy, because you have the college football acumen that we love to have on here. But my point is that Tennessee State has been under the radar as far as football goes and things. But now they're going to be playing Notre Dame for whatever the reason is. They're going to be on national TV pretty soon here. But my point of all this, what Eddie George is, he has been there for a while now. Time has been going. It's not a quick fix. He's still in the fight. Deion Sanders left Jackson State, in my opinion, too quick. He can do what he wants, but not long enough to kind of push it where he could have pushed it. Now Jackson State's still gonna move forward. We'll get to that later. But Eddie George, he's fighting a major hurdle and he's been battling this for Tennessee State. They're supposed to. There's the land grants that are out there, and you guys can talk more about what land grants are. But there was a land grant back in 1890, and colleges were supposed to receive federal funding for the state. And so, in the state of Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, they received like 75% of theirs. But meanwhile, Tennessee State only received 25% of theirs. And that's what it's been for years and years, decades. Well, finally, Tennessee State is going to receive. They're owed up to $544 million, and they're going to receive 250 million uh, very soon. Here, it's supposed to be in the current budget to get 250
Is it
million of that. So that's a good
is it
thing
for the
that Eddie
season?
George has done, and so we need to share that with everybody.
Is that $250 million? So I mean, you brought up the land grant. Now I'm very familiar with that. Is that
Okay.
stating that that's just money that they allocated to the school, or are they acknowledging that this was money and resources that should have been allocated to your school over 150 years ago? Is
Well,
that's two different things, because on one end you're just talking about state funding, on the other end you're
mhm.
talking about a reparation. You're talking about making good on a promise that was given a century ago, over a century ago. Um, when we talk about land grants, that is what when people talking about the westward expansion of America, nobody wanted to move west. Most of the population lived on the East Coast. When they part of the mass immigration of the give me your poor, your tired, your huddled masses was giving them the federal government using land grants to give them large plots of land, while at the same time excluding us from large plots of land. So I'm curious to say. I say all that to say I'm curious to see where's that funding coming from, and is that an acknowledgement from the state of Tennessee that they wronged this institution? But aside from all that, I applaud Eddie George for being able to acquire those funds. That's a great thing, but that's something that I'm curious about, because one is a great thing. The other can be utilized to say, see, we gave them this and we got conditions on it. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get more into it. I'll make sure the link is posted for those who want to take a look at it. But yeah, but the state decided to go like with a 75-25% approach as far as paying. And it's been decades of this. And they did the 75 for the University of Tennessee, the Volunteers, the school paid man to play there. But they did the exact opposite for Tennessee State. They did a 25%, 75% approach. And now that is being rectified to a degree. There's still going to be, according to the math here, about 240 more million that they should be getting on top of this 250. But right now, at least getting the 250 for the 2022 budget /. So we need to highlight stuff like this. And again, I think without the thing that happened with Bethune-Cookman and other stuff, and even with Deion Sanders, with him going to Jackson State initially, who knows if we get to this point right here, you know what I'm saying, for Tennessee State. So this is good. Clyde is out here, and Clyde, you are a alum of Jackson State, so I'll definitely love to drop a line to you one sooner than later. You let me know if it's all right, and we would like for you to talk about what's going on down in Jackson State. Definitely would love to do that. So if you can drop me a message or something, we can see if we can work that out. Corey, you had something to say, man, about the football approach about Tennessee State playing Notre Dame?
Them pay for play games, right?
Oh yeah, it's
First of all,
definitely that.
Break it down.
okay, how much are they paying Notre Dame's playing Tennessee State? Do we know?
Oh, we can get it.
Look it up for me, producers. Number two, I get what you're saying. Exposure, publicity. All publicity, all exposure is not necessarily good if it's going to be on the backs of those kids, right? If you're going into this game with an undersized offensive and defensive line, right? You're saying you're putting them kids out there to get beat on for 60 minutes for exposure. Miss me with that. And then on top of that, when that money gets divvied out, the majority of that money is not going to even go back to the program that these kids played in that are sacrificing. Right or wrong? Because the money goes to the general fund. It does not go back to the
Right.
public.
Back to the institution, and they how they see that money needs to be divvied out. You're correct.
Yeah, if they stick with that, that mindset, that plan, that's how it will end up.
I'm kind of split on this one. On the
So
one,
how is the exposure good? And then also,
I think it's good.
In what way?
Well, for one, if you're recruiting players, you have something now that you can say, hey, we're going to play at Notre Dame. Not everybody gets a chance to play there for whatever reason.
Is that
Well,
worth
for whatever reason that it's for whatever reason that means to anybody. You know what I mean? Being able to play a game on NBC, on the national network channel like that, I think that's a good opportunity, good exposure. And who knows? I mean, Marshall beat them, so it's not like Tennessee State have zero chance of winning. or competing. Because he had a couple years of recruiting. So maybe it's possible. Because
Marshall has more. Wait, hold up.
well, I'm saying you can
Hold
help
up.
me out on this. Um, there is a difference, obviously, between certain schools, especially on the lines. Like you talked about that on our triple options show plenty of times. But do you think he had enough years to at least put a competitive team on the field in that matchup?
Nope, not even close yet. He doesn't have the recruits. He doesn't have those players.
My thing with that is
Everybody loves this damn Rudy story, but in real life, Rudy gets his damn heads crushed,
if it's
gets
at
his
the,
brain beaten.
if it's at the detriment to the children, to these young men that's on the field, then it's not worth it. I would hope that Eddie George has evaluated his team over the years to see that they can play at a level of a Notre Dame. So that's kind of a hard one right there because I do see the upside to it, but the minuses right now are outweighing it if your program is not ready to play on that caliber.
Right. So we got to hold that to Eddie George to see what he's thinking by that time. I'm certain this was put this matchup was put together in advance. So he probably was recruiting accordingly. And again, y'all help me out if I'm right or wrong, but there's a lot of 3-star, 3 stars and some 4 stars that play at all the levels.
I mean, there's a level of heart that got that go into it, but that's not watch Tennessee and say they can play on
So,
no
yes,
Do we remember? Do we
got a
remember a
slight
few
echo
years ago?
somewhere.
It's me. Hold on. Let me fix my
Okay.
stuff.
Okay, while he's doing that, but it's not necessarily about that matchup. I was just throwing it out there just as part of that's something that they haven't been doing. And maybe in the Eddie George influence, now they get to, be seen. I mean, there's a
Isn't
lot
that
of
better?
eyes that's going to be on Tennessee State. At least for that matchup, at least for that production. They're going to talk about the school. NBC will probably say some things about it. And then also it's the first time Notre Dame's playing a historically black college and university team. So
I
you know.
got you.
There's a lot.
But
There's a lot of other stuff riding on that.
why not Notre Dame pick the roster that? Why not pick that roster that partially has more 4 stars and 3 stars left at Jackson State? No, they picked Tennessee when they pick these games. So always remember these are when they pick these pay games, they are trying to pick a team that on paper that they are way vastly overmatched. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Mhm.
times when you see these games, like when the Marshalls. And Marshall is a different type of game because Marshall is a bowl team, and Marshall has actually been in Division 1 for quite a while. Marshall, before they became the big boy league, they were like the one of the top 1 or 2 teams in the Division 1 AA when it existed. They were there every year. Marshall's the same university that produced your boy Randy Moss and a lot of other places because Marshall's not a team and also Marshall is considered a full FBS team, right? Which means they have more scholarship. That goes into it. Tennessee
Yeah.
State don't have as many scholarships. 1, 2, their talent pool is not the same. It is what it is until that changes. It is not a good idea to go running these kids up against it. We see all I can think of. The first thing that came to my mind was that kid from Southern a few years ago.
Against Georgia.
Yes, yes. Football is a violent sport. It's violent enough by itself than to take these extra risks when you don't have to. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's cool. It's nice, and it's progress. It really is. But there's a part of me because y'all know my feeling about playing the sport as of now. There's a part of me that says, is it really worth it to put those kids out there and do all this on their back? And then on top of all that, when they take this risk, you're not going to even take that money and it's not going to go back into them. The kid at Southern, do you know who paid for all his medical bills?
Who paid?
It wasn't
Georgia.
Southern University.
Georgia paid it.
Because the reason why Georgia wrote that check was because for whatever reason, funding or whatnot, they were worried about that boy's care. So Georgia stepped up and paid. And actually, it wasn't even Georgia. Let's not make it seem like Georgia was some panacea of feeling great. No, it was actually Mark Richt that made a point of seeing about that child.
Yeah, but now
Whether
we can get into something else now.
it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you like Mark Richt as a coach or whatever, whether you want to be, you have to give the man what he is. He is exactly what he is.
Well,
He's an average. He's above average coach. It ain't the great, but he's a good man. That's it. He
but
is.
but
So
now we get into something else too, Corey. Because like when you mentioned Marshall, I mean these schools had to start somewhere. So we talking about Tennessee State where they at now and comparing it
I
to,
got you. They
to
got to
another
start somewhere.
school
But you
to
know what
where they're
Marshall did?
going.
You know what
So
Marshall did when they first started?
well, this is
They,
what
they
Tennessee State is
no, you
doing.
know what
This is
Marshall
what
did?
they're doing.
Marshall picked on Marshall. No, Marshall did not go that route. Marshall
I
picked on
said this is
D1
what
teams that they thought
I
they
said
could
this is
beat.
what Tennessee State is
Tyrone,
doing.
you're asking.
But TJ, I'm gonna say this.
I'm saying this is what
There's
they're doing.
enough level of play in the HBCU system that we don't have to
No,
go
you said
outside to the
no.
PWI
No,
school.
Tyrone is saying no.
What
Tyrone, no. Let's get back to what he just said. Hold on. Let me get this in. You said they're doing what Marshall did. When Marshall made his
I didn't say
turn to
that.
go, what did you say?
I said Tennessee State is doing what they're doing. Tennessee State. I'm referring to Tennessee State. Eddie George is
Okay.
making the Eddie George is making this call. They trust Eddie George in his decision
I don't
making.
no problem. And I disagree with taking on these games with the rest of these kids. That's all I'm saying. I do not like you. I don't care. I don't care if it's Deion Sanders. I don't care if it's Ed Reed. I don't care if it's whoever. Do not take these money games for the sake of it being a money game and for publicity. If that's why you're taking the game, if you take the game and you don't think you could win the game, you don't think you have no chance of taking the game, and I mean realistically, don't be saying, well, there's always a chance and with it, that's why we played it. No, I mean you literally have a chance. Don't take these money games just because it's a money game and you might 1 in 1,000 chance win. No, don't do that to these kids.
Is Notre Dame
You
that
can't.
good?
It was already compared to Tennessee State. Yes.
Tennessee State, yeah.
Are
I
they
mean,
that
like I
good?
said, do not
We'll
take
find out when
you
they
got
play.
okay,
We,
and we're gonna find out, and then we're gonna also see how many kids on that roster, and then we're gonna see where this money go, and then you're gonna tell me whether or not was it worth it for the publicity. Because at the end of the day, if one kid no longer is able to play football because that kid took that game, then it wasn't worth it.
And you
Because
look
if
at
and if it
you
and
look
hold on, and
at
if it's a
a
fit,
program
if
like
it's a
look at a
and
program
it's
like Notre Dame. Notre Dame can cherry pick whoever they want to play.
not anymore, Tony. I won't even say that. I'm not. I won't even say that. I won't say that about Notre Dame. But this
Very,
game is not
very
one of
seldom,
those games.
very seldom do they take the chance of playing an SEC team, one of the top three SEC teams. Very seldom do they do that because they realize that's a risk maneuver. They understand their caliber of play is not on the level of a Georgia, of an Alabama. You know what I mean? So they understand the risk in playing those big money games. Yes, the payout would be great for them to play them during the regular season, but they're not willing to take that risk. And the same logic should be applied to Tennessee. When they're looking at these games, just because the money's out there, I agree with you on that. Should you take it? Not at the detriment to your children. And if you're going to take those games, there needs to be some kind of guarantee that that money that was generated from that game that the athletic program did is funneled back into that athletic program and not just dispersed willy-nilly throughout other aspects of the school. The sports generated it. The sports should get the lion's share of.
I mean, the points are well taken, but let's find out why Eddie George is taking the game in the
Well, that's fine.
university.
Money.
I'm gonna just yeah. Well, we're gonna find out.
But the answer is $1 million too. I think the question was asked earlier how much they're getting. They're getting roughly $1 million. Now, according to Deion Sanders, he would approve that because when he was at Jackson State,
And
when he was at Jackson
wait.
State, when he was at Jackson State, he did not like that some of the teams were getting
All
$400,000.
right,
Like for
don't
example,
get it. I got the
FAMU,
money part.
FAMU received $400,000 to go play the University of North Carolina last season, and he was like, "No, that's just way too low. We got to start up there." And so for them to get that million, That's a good number now for the university.
And you also, you know what that $1 million. You know what? The more money they give you means how who's getting $1 million. Tennessee State will be getting $1 million. Kevin, Trick just tapped in. Tyrone.
Okay.
He's watching, but he's not chatting. But Tennessee
Oh,
State will
okay.
get $1
Hey,
million.
what's up, Trick?
But what I'm saying is the money to me is irrelevant in that when it comes to the backs of breaking it off the backs of those kids. I understand your vision. You want to compete, and you want to prove that what we got is just as good. Understood. But when everything's not in place yet, I don't want a revolution to be sacrificed on the backs of these kids before the time.
I understand. I understand your point. I understand your point.
They say going to war costs.
But
So we have
are they really getting destroyed every time, like physically destroyed every time they play a game like that? Or what about
Tyrone,
like a Sanford?
I played a
What
college football season. I played a high school football season.
what
There
did
is a physical. I remember when I used the word of physical currency. There is a currency that you spend every time you go out there on that field. Why are you? I mean, I understand when you're in a conference and you're just outmatched by your competitors, but why are you sending me outside of my conference? Or it goes for PWIs. Why are you requiring me to spend this currency, my physical currency, my life expectancy, my energy, my injuries, and all this other stuff on a game that you know that I don't win? If you know I can't win this game, why is it worth it? What is worth it for me to go out there and do this for you? Because the money's not coming back to me. This is not helping my family. This is helping your university, and this is helping whatever cause you got. Why is it worth for that? Why is it worth it to us to send these cows out there for that, to spend that currency on that versus to spend a currency on a game that add in another game, go play another team there's a black college team that's not in your conference. Figure out how to way to hype those game up. Figure out a way to produce more classics in other ways where there's an actual legitimate chance that the game may actually be a game of competitive game versus a game that we're going out there just to if the best we can hope for is that it looks competitive and we go home with a check versus the best we can do is we may actually can win. I'm sorry, you can't sell me on. Well, we got a puncher's chance. Even with that puncher's chance, you know, a 1 in 1,000 chance is not worth it to me. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and you're definitely entitled to that. You know, there's no right or wrong with it. There's just pros and cons with it.
That's all it is. But I'm kind of on the lines of court. The
Yeah.
cons are outweighing the pro right now.
I mean, 'cause how do y'all feel when University of Georgia plays Charleston Southern or
The
something
head
like that?
coach of Charleston Southern is a dumbass too. Anyway, but I just said it don't matter what school it are. If when you because the same reason Georgia will never it'll be highly unlikely Georgia would take the chance to play Georgia Southern on a regular basis if they ever play them. You know
Why
why?
not?
Do you know why?
Why?
There's more to lose.
What you mean?
The same because if Georgia plays Georgia State, for one, Georgia State recruits in the state of Georgia, which means you're still in the same recruiting pool, and there's always that one or two kid that when it comes down to it, if Georgia State get that win, they can snatch a kid that Georgia may want inside the state. That's why you never see the Georgia States, the UABs play Alabama, Auburn. You never see. That's why you don't see those type of games. You don't see.
Right.
You really
They crisscross it. They might play the Alabama version of Georgia Southern or whoever it may have been. But even Georgia Southern has improved over years and over time. And they played big teams before they became as good as they have become over the last couple of years. So on my side of the fence, I like what they're doing because
they play big.
they're challenging themselves and they're gonna play their conference, but they're also trying to play up a little bit. But that's just our takes on it. That's our takes on it. So that was the thing about Eddie George and what he was doing well for Tennessee State. Is there anything else going on in the across the country that you want to bring up?
Yes. The white quarterback from Florida that was caught saying the N-word lost his scholarship and now has offers from 2 HBCUs, Albany State and Alabama.
Alabama A&M.
That bothers me because that right there sums up the situation at the HBCUs and the HBCUs athletics. For you to take the opportunity, and we all know that he's not going to take those offers. This is PR for him to clean up his image, but so he can basically get on social media and work with a image consultant to say, "Hey, see, these HBCU, the black folks don't have no problem with me saying it. They offer me scholarships. So all you PWIs that are kind of skittish about draft, about picking me up, hey, they don't care, and that's how it's going to be looked at. And shame on those two schools for even entertaining that idea. Because you're not taking into account that if I bring this guy, if on the off chance that they are serious and they do want to draft, they do want to pick him up. How is that going? How are those student athletes going to feel about this? You don't think there's going to be a level of animosity that they got you on camera saying nigga and you a white dude? So what's the upside for you to that? What is the purpose of even doing that? That was an ignorant decision from the athletic department to even extend those scholarships to. But it shows a lot. It shows a lack of pride in yourself that someone outside your race can come talk to you, say the most offensive thing to your racial group, and you still saying, "But he's the 24th all time pick this year." Make that make sense to me. Because no, if I'm anybody in the leadership position in those two institutions, I'm voicing my opinion on that. I'm voicing my concern. Like, no, this is not a good idea. Why would you do this? What is your agenda in doing this? Is it to help him? And if that's the case, why the fuck do we give a damn what happens to him? That's almost on the level of self-hate right there. And I want to know. And this is so new. I haven't had a chance to look at who these athletic directors are for these two schools. I probably should have had that before in place before I came on here. But why would you do that? With all the criticism that's being leveled on our HBCU system, you thought this was a good time for you to do this bonehead move right here. I'm looking for y'all opinion on this because to me this don't make any kind of sense.
Well, I think Corey, can you make it make sense?
What about the Albany State thing?
And Alabama A&M, I believe those two schools that we know for sure that have given offers.
Oh, I guess they cool with it. To be honest with you, I'm like, what?
I mean, do you think because he's a former 4-star quarterback, or I mean, I guess he's still 4-star, and of course, the University of Florida let him go for those comments. So,
No, university let that boy go because that boy does not cause more pain than help for them. That's why the university let that kid go.
So
Now,
why the HBCU see an upside to bringing him in?
because hold on, I'm gonna give you the opinion, but my opinion about it is, it just shows you what it shows you. At its core, it's a game of value. They, for whatever reason, they feel like that kid is more valuable as a quarterback than they have anything they have on their campus. That's it.
And
Now,
if
would
that's
I Went and got that kid? No, because I believe he's more trouble than his worth. I don't. I mean, I tried to read the gist of it. Apparently, he was singing a song and he said the N word. He said the N word while he was singing a song. We all know that I don't care if it's in a song. I don't care if it's on a paper. I don't care if you working to get your Academy Award. That word is only allowed to be said in a certain community, and if you're not part of it, don't be saying it. But apparently, that's what it is, and that's going to be the excuse that they're going to run with. Well, he was just singing a song. He was.
I, yeah,
Y'all say it. Y'all say
that's
it. And
okay.
y'all blah 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 blah. However, would I as a coach brought that kid in? No. Unless for whatever reason, unless my team came to me, I would have went to my team and went to those players. Now if those players on that team say, yo, we want him, we're cool with him coming in here, it ain't for none of us to deal with. We
That
can we
be,
can we can
that
we
be,
can pontificate, we can do all the different stuff. But if those two schools and those kids on those teams are saying that we want him and we're willing to welcome him in as a brother, then it's a whole different animal. And I will tell you this: the dynamics of what goes on with these football teams, you'll find out, it's totally different than it's a close. This becomes a very close society in how we work as a team. It's a us against the world, and when you're my brother, you're my brother.
I hear you, and I understand that dynamic. But I will say this: you know that quarterback position is the face of your team. That is the quote unquote head of your team. I don't leave if I'm a head coach. I don't leave that decision up to the team. They may come from schools where they got a whole bunch. They're like one of three black students on that squad. They hear this all the time, so it doesn't bother them. I get that aspect of it. That's why you don't leave that decision up to children, because at the end of the day, at 18 years old, you still a child. You're a young person. You're a young man, but you still have not matured enough to understand why some have, but why this is problematic. And this is indicative of the issues in our HBCU system. I just lump that in with the stealing of the money and everything else that is problematic with our institution. That you didn't see enough value in the quarterback that you had, or the ones you were trying to pick up, to where you needed to bring in this white quarterback who on camera says nigga, and anybody with common sense past the age of 13 should know I don't get on camera, even in the context of a song, saying the N-word if I'm not black. So he can't feign ignorance. I saw the sportscaster say, well, this is a great opportunity to teach him how on racial equality, and this is a good opportunity to educate. I get so tired of hearing that narrative of we have to educate white folks about racism. We don't educate people. We don't educate the inventors of racism about their racism. They are fully aware of it. They don't need our help. And we don't need to help them rehabilitate their image after they've done dumb shit. This is just another example of the failure that comes out of the HBCU system. And shame on them.
Hold on, Tony. How is that a failure to HBCU when that's a failure of a coach?
Somebody in that institution should have said to that coach, hey, don't get on national TV and say that dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the school president, I'd immediately put out a statement rescinding that offer.
Okay, let
He
me ask you
wasn't
this question. Hold on,
authorized to
hold
make
on.
that kind of.
Well, you can't. Well, okay, hold on. What is that team? First of all, see, what is that? What does that team or the kids on that team know that kid and choose to say we want
I
him here?
don't care what they want. That
So it's about your
is
imagery more so than it's about them kids, huh?
that right there is a detriment to the institution and all the kids who don't play sports. They have to sit there, and they may not be cool with it, but they got to sit in class every day and see this motherfucker who said the most offensive thing you could say about a black person and got away with it. Not only got away with it, but gets to go to our institution. That's an insult.
Okay. Okay.
That's a bridge too far for me. That's something I'm not gonna sit here and make that excuse. That's why I say that's a decision we don't leave up to them student athletes. That's one of them areas where you got to say, no, you got to be the adult in the room and say, no, this is not a good move right here. Somebody on that coaching staff, one of the assistant coaches, the athletic director of the program, somebody at some point should have said before that statement got put out there by both schools, don't do this. This is not a good idea. We should not be promoting this. Let him wither on the vine for the bad decision that he made. He said it. He got to deal with the consequences. We're not gonna help rehab his image because I firmly believe this ain't nothing but him trying to do some image rehab.
It's not even that. You know what that is? Let me tell you what. I'm gonna tell you how this break down, Tom. This is not the first time. What sometimes we don't understand or don't see is certain people understand certain things, right? And one of the biggest things is that as long as you're out there and you can get on the field, somebody will see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the first one. He's not the first one that couldn't make it at a PWI that moved to a HBCU. He's looking at it as leverage. For instance, and honestly, because there's a transfer portal exists now, don't be surprised if that kid go there. And if the talent shows up halfway, he's gone in a year. Now therein lies the problem.
But we
They're
know
going
that.
to invest. Hold on. Therein lies the problem with these coaches. Now I agree with you. Therein lies the problem with the whole thing is that these coaches are finna let this kid use them for what
Yeah.
reason? Go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Tug.
Even with all that, I wouldn't give a shit if he brought you. Look at. I wouldn't give a shit if he brought you all championships and everything. It's not worth it. And like you said, he's gonna be gone within a year. He knows
Maybe.
this.
No. He might suck. He'll stay his stands right there. Don't get it twisted.
That's even worse.
Why is it even worse?
Because he done already showed you he don't respect you. He don't respect you. He don't respect you. He don't respect you. I don't give a damn. Yeah, you can say, well, it's the music, and they should. If that's the case, they shouldn't put it in the music. That's neither here nor there. He knows the rules. I guarantee you, he know better than to go riding down MLK in his city, bumping it and hollering nigga, 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 because he knows what's gonna come with that. You're not gonna make it to the end of the block. So if you know that, you understand what you did was wrong.
You sure, Tony?
I'm 100% sure.
I'm not. I don't think we. I hate to tell you this. My impression of a lot of stuff is that you can go. It don't matter if it's MLK or Woodford Drive. Matter of fact, I honestly tell you this, and TJ know when I say this. MLK, you liable to get away with it quicker than you are Woodford Drive.
And I'm gonna tell you this. Yeah, you might pass a 90 out of 100 people you pass. 99 of them might not say nothing to you, but it's always gonna be that 100, like myself, that'll knock your motherfucking teeth down your throat if you try.
You're gonna learn that whenever the small is usually is a snapshot of the larger society.
Hey man, you and I got two different opinions on the state of black people. I don't think we've fallen that far.
I just look at the shit we accept every day. But okay.
If they allow this to happen, then whatever negative fallout falls on the institution is warranted. Don't come running to the black community and talking about, hey, you should get behind us. I'm done with you. I'm done with your school. All the way around. You could be doing all the greatest shit in the world out your school. It will always and forever be a fuck you because you have this outwardly racist little white boy as the face of your institution.
Well, yeah, we're gonna see. Yeah, we'll see how this all pan out. We're gonna keep track of it, and we're gonna see how if he even lands at Alabama A&M or Albany State or somewhere else. So we'll see how it plays out. But gentlemen, I mean, I think we knocked out a lot of good stuff today. And I do thank all the people that's tuned in and all the comments from Russell, from Kevin Johnson, from Clyde Marshall, Russell Haynes, and also OG $2. You know, we thank them for their comments, and we thank all those who are out there watching and listening too. Closing remarks before we go.
I believe it was Russell that said, "What's the difference between a SWAC team playing a Division II teams?" You will find out that the gap is a lot smaller between Division I AA and Division II. And I also will tell you this: if you, as a head coach, as a Division I AA team, or no, as a Division II team, take your kids out there and you're playing any game for money versus for the competitiveness of you think you can win, I'm not gonna ride with you on that one. I have no problem with competing, but not when it's in the case of I'm just going to cash a check.
All right. And then what you got hot tub before we get out?
My standpoint on the HBCU system is I want to see our legacy institutions succeed. But if they're unwilling to address systemic issues in their organizations, if we're going to just continue to stick our head in the sand and pretend like nothing is wrong, then they have outlived their usefulness. I still see a value in them, but what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to be honest that
I think I
All right.
lost Tub.
those that are in charge of those organizations are not operating within the best interest of the organizations themselves, the students, the student athletes, the alumni, or our people in general. And it's time we start to be honest about that and getting these detrimental forces within our society up out of the paint. And that's where I'm going to leave it at.
Oh man, appreciate
I'm
that.
good, Tony. I
All
ain't gonna
right.
make a comment. I ain't gonna make a comment, Tony.
We'll say that. We'll say that for the next show. But yeah, this is out there. So please just follow it on the YouTube. It'll be out there for you to watch over and over again. You can break it down, watch it in different pieces, comment, and anything else anything particular that you like for us to talk about. We're here to do that. We're here to make it make
Yes, do
sense.
that.
So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely here
any
to make
topic
it
you
make
want us
sense.
to broach, just drop it in. Send one of us, those that know us, follow us, or whatever that knows. We just drop a topic. Hell, drop it in the comment section, and you never know. We might be dropping you a link and discussing your topic. We're open to
Yep.
whatever, and
Yeah.
it's by now you should all realize what you think our opinions are going to be. Probably ain't what they're going to be. And on my own behalf and these two brothers, we appreciate the time that y'all spend to watch us go back and forth. And you two brothers, as always, I love y'all too. And ain't a damn thing y'all can do about it, even though sometimes y'all make no goddamn sense. Peace.
Hey, love you too, man. Love you. All right. All right, Tub. We out.
All right.